Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here, and today I'm going to be doing a video about Scottie Pippen. I just want to talk a little bit about him and his career. He's a guy that gets a lot of conversation directed his way in regards to his dynastic run with the Chicago Bulls, how he was the best Robin of all time. But I want to do a video discussing how he isn't great as a team player or as a sidekick to Michael Jordan, but how he's great as an individual player. And I know that he was on the 50 greatest players of all time list released in 1996. So I don't know if you can necessarily say he's underrated if he's acknowledged as one of the 50 greatest players of all time in that list. And I don't think he's underrated in the sense that people do know that he's a good player. He did get into the Hall of Fame, so people acknowledge that he was good enough to get into that. Albeit a lot of people were really reluctant about him getting into the Hall of Fame based on his NBA merits. Not everybody thought that he deserved it. I did. I think that he's a great NBA talent, and not enough people appreciate all that he was. And I don't really think that his statistics necessarily reflect how much talent he had overall as a player. I think that when you play with a guy like Michael Jordan, and he takes so many shots and does so much on the court that your stats might, as a player playing with him, your stats might not directly reflect how much of an impact you had on the game. But as we all know, you can't win a championship alone, let alone 6 championships alone. And as the second best player on those teams, I think Scottie Pippen obviously was a fantastic player. And I want to go into that and just discuss how he's not necessarily underrated, just not given as much credit and not valued as highly as he might deserve to be. So starting off with him, I'm just going to read off some of his career statistics. He averaged 16 points a game over his career, 6 rebounds, 5 assists a game, 2 steals a game, 1 block a game. For his career, shot 47% from the field, 33% from 3. He took 13 shots a game. Those are basically your broad strokes there. From the free throw line, he shot 70% over the course of his career. He was drafted in '87 and played until '04. He was traded on draft day for Olden Polynice. He was drafted by the Sonics, traded to the Bulls for Olden Polynice. His first All-Star season was in 1989-90, and his first championship with the Bulls came in the next season, 1990-91. And he was a 7-time All-Star, a 10-time defensive team player in the NBA, a 7-time All-NBA team player, All-Star Game MVP in 1994, led the NBA in steals in 1994-95. Had a really impressive career. So getting into it, I'm going to say that his prime was between '89 to 1998 with the Bulls. In between those years, he never averaged lower than 16.5 points per game. And his best season came in '93-94. That was the first year that Michael Jordan had retired to go play baseball. So Scottie Pippen was really left as the best player on that Bulls team. He averaged 22 points a game. He had 9 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game, 3 steals a game, 1 block a game, along with the 22 points. Let's see here. He played 38 minutes a night that season, and he had 18 shots a game on 49% shooting, which is the best of any season in his career except for 2. He was shooting 32% from the field and 66% from the free throw line, which is obviously a weakness for him, but still the rest of the numbers are pretty great. This is the most shots per game he ever averaged, which I think makes sense because in the other seasons he was playing with Jordan, so he got less shots, and as the primary option on the team, he was getting a few more touches. Scottie Pippen's a guy that most people don't realize actually acted as a pseudo point guard for the Bulls during this era. He would often bring the ball up the court and do the playmaking, and Jordan would play not necessarily off ball, but he just wouldn't do the playmaking. Like Jordan would get the ball and score a lot, but he wouldn't run plays for other guys as much as Pippen did during their big run of success. Okay, so I really want to hone in on this 93 to 94 season because that's the best sample size we have of him without Jordan, sort of as a sole star player on a team. I'm also going to look at 94 to 95. I'll actually just run through his stats for that season as well quick. In that season, he averaged 19 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game, 2 steals a game, 1 block a game. He went back down to, he was only shooting 17. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong year. In 1994-95, he averaged 21 points a game. He had 8 rebounds a game, 5 assists, 3 steals a game, leading the league in steals, 1 block a game. He averaged 17 shots a game on 48% shooting, which is again good. He shot 35% from 3, which is decent. He shot 72% from the free throw line, which is a little bit better. So these 2 years are really our sample size for him as a star player, basically on his own. Jordan played about half the year in 94-95, but actually Jordan played about 30 games, so that's not half the year, but it's close. But either way, these 2 seasons we basically got to see Scottie alone, and he averaged about 21 to 22 points a game, and let's say about 8.5 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists a game, 3 steals a game, 1 block a game. Those are really good numbers, and I think, you know, you could just say, oh, those are just because those are the years that he was in his prime. He was 28 and 29 during those seasons. But I think it wasn't just that he was in his prime, but I think that he was able to anchor a really quality team. You know, in the 93 to 94 season, the Bulls won 55 games, which was only 2 fewer than they had won the season before, which was 57. They did win less in the 94 to 95 year, but I think that was more because B.J. Armstrong and Horace Grant both left the team, who had both been All-Stars in the prior season of 93 to 94. So it was more like Scottie Pippen and Steve Kerr and Tony Kukoc were like the core of the 94 to 95 team before Michael Jordan came back. But still, they won 47 games, got to the second round. In 93 to 94, they were actually only 1 game away from making the Eastern Conference Finals, but they lost in the semifinals to the Knicks in 7 games, and a lot of people would say that they actually were the victims of some bad foul calls and should have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they didn't. But still, I think it shows that Scottie Pippen was capable of leading a team on his own, like a really quality playoff team. Being the All-Star Game MVP, you know, that shows that he was a guy at the forefront of the NBA, and I think, you know, you could see a glimpse of, if Michael Jordan never came back, you could see an idea that Scottie Pippen would be a guy who was in the top echelon of NBA players. You know, he was on the All-NBA first team a few times. I gotta look this up quick, how many times he was. I think it was 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken, but I want to be sure for you guys. Okay, let's see here. So Scottie Pippen made the All-NBA team 7 times, and he made the All-NBA first team 3 times in the 93 to 94, 94, 95, 95, and 96. He was on the All-NBA second team in 91 to 92 and 96 to 97, and the third team in 92 to 93 and 97 to 98. So basically between 1991 to 98, he was on all those all NBA teams, with 93 to 96 being the prime 3 years of his career. But yeah, you know, so in those first 2 of those 3 years that he was on All-NBA first team, those were the years that he was basically on his own, which I think speaks to the fact that if he had his own team, he would be on All-NBA first team, sort of like in the MVP conversation caliber of player. And I think that despite 22 points being the highest he ever averaged in a season, I'm not going to say it was the tip of the iceberg, but I don't think it was the best that we could have seen from him on offense. You know, he dedicated so much of himself to a defensive style of play that we didn't get to fully see his offensive potential all the time. But I think if you had had a team completely built around him for a couple of years, you might have seen him go up to 25, 26 points a game, maintaining the 8 to 9 rebounds a game and around 6 assists a game. But I think as a result of playing with Jordan, he took more of a back seat and he just played a lot more. He played a lot of offense, but he played a lot on defense as far as just like giving that his all, and sort of Jordan could take over more on offense. But I do think he was capable of being the star player on both sides of the ball, and I definitely don't think that without him the Bulls win as many titles. You know, maybe they win 2, but I don't see them winning 6 without Pippen. If you replace him with Paul and East, let's just say, for that entire time, Paul and East would, over that course of time, give you, let's see here, he would have been giving you about 9 points a game and about 7 rebounds a game. So I don't think that that's the same production. Pauline's first career averaged 8 points a game and 7 rebounds, and during that time span would have been giving you about 8 points and about 7 to 6 rebounds a game. So obviously I think that it's a good thing that they traded for him. I think that the Bulls team would not have been the same without him. And this is sort of a shorter clip, but I just wanted to acknowledge a guy that I think doesn't get talked about. It's one of the dominant players of all time. I think you could argue Scottie Pippen is the greatest wing defender of all time. I guess here's the thing that I always think in my head. You know, nowadays people usually say like LeBron and Durant 1, 2, and then like the 3, 4, 5 spot. A lot of people say is interchangeable between Steph, James Harden, and a healthy Kawhi Leonard. So arguably you could say Kawhi Leonard is the 3rd best player in the NBA. And I would basically say that Scottie Pippen, or Kawhi Leonard, is the next coming of Scottie Pippen. Like, if you want to know how Scottie Pippen would have been on a team if he was the lone star, look at what Kawhi Leonard is, and that's what Scottie Pippen would have been. That's all I got for today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. If you don't like Scottie Pippen and think that he was carried by Michael Jordan, you can comment that. If you agree with me and think that he was a great player but have a point to make that I didn't happen to make, you can comment that as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.